Okay, so next we have Hilda Weiss. A fourth-generation Californian, Hilda has been a hiker and native plant enthusiast since childhood. She spent most of her career developing training programs for the field force of Southern California Gas Company. She's also a poet and co-founder of Poetry LA, a website featuring videos of poets in Southern California. In 2012, after restoring a small Victorian cottage in Santa Monica, she and her husband surrounded it with native plants. Their garden is now a favorite on the Theodore Payne Foundation tour. In 2014, Hilda began working with the Santa Monica Conservancy to transform a landmarked shotgun house into the headquarters for the Conservancy. She again encouraged partners to work with native plants for the landscape design to feature the vibrant colors, textures, and ecological benefits ocean-friendly natives bring to complement the classic design of the historic style of housing.
Thank you, Cassie. So the shotgun house, which is this little tiny house, was built in 1897, landmarked in 1998, moved to its current location in 2014, and opened to the public in 2016. The garden, let's see, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this, right?
Do the arrow.
The arrow, yeah. Good.
Okay.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so we did know we wanted to follow some best practices as we were going along, and the garden was one of them. You can see, do I have an arrow on this? Pointer, pointer. Yay! Pointer, pointer. There.
Yes.
Pointer, yes. This was the original idea. This is an early rendering, kind of a Mediterranean xeriscape, very plain. And we eventually came to this, which is much more lush with the California natives. So here we are arriving at our new location. It's the corner of the Ocean Park Library parking lot. It's 2520 2nd Street in Santa Monica. You're welcome to come and visit. And here is our front yard before landscaping. So we knew the best practices we needed to follow were things like install automatic irrigation system and upgrade the soil before we do the planting. And along with those best practices, we ran into some challenges. We didn't discover this one. Oops, see? No, we want to go back. Ooh, how did I do that? There. That red arrow is where we discovered a piece of old foundation from the building that had been there before, which was a fire station. We had planted 3 redbuds on this side yard. The middle one was just not thriving. We had to take it out because we found this foundation, and we planted island snapdragon instead, which has done really well. So here this is another challenge. When we first planted the garden, people said, it's too bare, put more in. This is very common with native plants. But we held our ground, and by 2017, it was flourishing. But then the new challenge has been that the city gardening staff wants to give it a buzz cut. So they want to hedge it. I don't have a picture of it because we actually talked with them, and we've been reasonably successful in getting them to let us do the tailoring because native plants look more natural if they're not hedged. So this is our garden, which looks really sweet. And right here in the middle, there we go, you can see we have a bioswale, which helps keep the water on the property. And that ended up being another challenge. The other folks involved with the Conservancy said, rocks in the garden, that's ugly. So what can you do? We need a bioswale, that's important. We ended up covering up the rocks with mulch, and that solved the problem. But you know, these are small problems compared to what other people have had. And overall, the garden has been really well accepted, and we do make an effort to encourage both adults and kids. So we are telling them about water-wise gardening. We have the sign from the city of Santa Monica. We have handouts for the kids. We also do field trips for kids. This is a group from the Martin Luther King Rec Center. They are actually examining the texture of the yarrow, and that's me right there giving them a little tour. So altogether, our garden has become something that people stop and look at, even when they can't come into the house because we're not open every day of the week. But we have also gotten awards in conjunction with the house. The LEED Gold certification we're very proud of, and also we got an award from US Green Building. So more specifically, for LEED, we were able to decrease the runoff on the property by 41%, and 90% of that runoff is treated, which means that it is going through the soil before it's actually going into the groundwater. And 80% of the solids are removed, again, because of the proper soil improvements, the use of mulch, and the use of native plants with good root structures for the soil. So our busy neighborhood, we aim for eye comfort. That's just such this is all the way around the parking lot that we made the garden grow. And we have a historic plaque. We wanted to make sure that people appreciated native plants with the historic plaque. And the last thing I want to talk about is economy. That yes, we did look for donations of time and expertise. Form LA helped us with the garden design. Smith Pipe and Supply, which is up and down the coast here, did supply the materials for the irrigation system. Merrihew Sunset Garden Nursery provided the plants, some of which they got from Theater Payne. And we have the maintenance from the city gardeners and also from docents, including myself and including Lorraine, who's our master gardener, who's also here in the audience with me. And I just want to say one last thing about the folks in the neighborhood. Because they go to the library, a lot of them who aren't immediately adjacent see that garden all the time, and they really appreciate it. I can see them stopping and looking at the garden when I'm there and asking questions about the plants and discovering the caterpillars on the milkweed. So all good.